Ankylosaurids, scientifically known as Ankylosauridae, were a family of heavily armored herbivorous dinosaurs that lived between roughly 125 and 66 million years ago during the Cretaceous period. These low-built quadrupeds evolved thick body armor, bony plates called osteoderms, and in many species, powerful tail clubs capable of delivering devastating defensive strikes. Their fossils have been discovered across North America and Asia, especially in Mongolia, China, Canada, and the United States. Ankylosauridae is generally divided into two major subfamilies. The earlier and more primitive Shamosaurinae included species such as Shamosaurus and Gobisaurus, while the later Ankylosaurinae evolved more advanced skull armor and massive tail clubs, eventually leading to giants like Ankylosaurus. Today, paleontologists recognize many valid Ankylosaurid species, while others remain debated, uncertain, or historically confused. Today we explore every known Ankylosaurid, explained simply and clearly from the oldest species to the youngest. Liaoningosaurus. Liaoningosaurus lived between 125 and 122 million years ago during the early Cretaceous in China. The genus contains a single species, Liaoningosaurus paradoxus, and is one of the strangest armored dinosaurs ever discovered. Known fossils mainly represent juveniles with unusual body proportions, including belly armor and relatively long limbs compared to later ankylosaurids. Some studies even suggested it may have eaten fish, though this idea remains controversial. Cedarpelta. Cedarpelta lived between 116 and 104 million years ago during the early Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Cedarpelta bilbahalorum, and represents one of the earliest possible ankylosaurids. Measuring around 5 to 7 meters long, it possessed a heavily armored body and broad skull, though a fully developed tail club was likely absent or primitive. Fossils were discovered in Utah within river floodplain ecosystems. Shamosaurus. Shamosaurus lived between 115 and 105 million years ago during the early Cretaceous in Mongolia and China. The genus contains a single species, Shamosaurus scutatus, and represents one of the earliest known members of Shamosaurinae. Measuring around 5 meters long, it possessed heavy armor and a broad skull, but lacked the advanced tail club specialization seen in later ankylosaurians. Jinyunpelta. Jinyunpelta lived between 100 and 96 million years ago during the early Cretaceous in China. The genus contains a single species, Jinyunpelta sinensis, and became extremely important because it possessed one of the earliest fully developed tail clubs ever discovered in an ankylosaurid. Measuring around 4 to 5 meters long, it had extensive armor covering the body and helped reveal when advanced defensive tail weapons first evolved. Tsagantegia. Tsagantegia lived between 99 and 84 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The genus contains a single species, Tsagantegia longicranialis, and belonged to Shamosaurinae. Measuring around 4 to 5 meters long, it possessed a long, narrow skull compared to many later ankylosaurids and likely fed on low vegetation in semi-arid environments. Gobisaurus. Gobisaurus lived between 92 and 84 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in China. The genus contains a single species, Gobisaurus democulus, and was one of the largest early Asian ankylosaurids, measuring around 6 meters long. The dinosaur possessed a massive skull and heavy armor, suggesting powerful defensive adaptations and close relationships with later ankylosaurians. Crichtonsaurus. Crichtonsaurus lived between 92 and 89 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in China. It was named after Michael Crichton, the author of the dinosaur novel Jurassic Park. This genus historically had more named species such as Crichtonsaurus bengziensis and bohlini, but Crichtonsaurus bohlini was later moved into its own genus and Crichtonsaurus bengziensis became Crichtonpelta bengziensis, though its validity remains debated because the fossils are fragmentary and difficult to classify. The known material mainly consists of skull and skeletal fragments, showing similarities to other Asian ankylosaurids. Haichensaurus. Haichensaurus lived between 92 and 84 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in China. The genus contains a single species, Haichensaurus pachycephalus. It is considered a highly uncertain ankylosaurid based on incomplete fossil material, suggesting a medium-sized armored herbivore. Many paleontologists consider the genus dubious. Tyrannosaurus. Tyrannosaurus lived between 86 and 72 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in China. The genus may contain two species, Tyrannosaurus youngi and Tyrannosaurus chengi. Measuring around 5 meters long, it possessed a broad, armored body and relatively short skull. Multiple skeletons have been discovered, helping scientists study its armor arrangement and body proportions, though some researchers have suggested that Tyrannosaurus may represent a junior synonym of Saichania, Pinacosaurus. Pinacosaurus lived between 85 to 70 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The genus contains a single species, Pinacosaurus Mephistocephalus, which was originally assigned to the coeval genus Pinacosaurus. Pinacosaurus lived between 80 and 75 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia and China. Two species are currently recognized. Pinacosaurus grangeri and Pinacosaurus hilwitnorum was named in 2026. An additional species originally placed in this genus, Pinacosaurus Mephistocephalus, was later transferred to its own genus, Pinacosaurus Mephistocephalus, the dinosaur which we talked about earlier. Both were medium-sized Ankylosaurids measuring around 5 meters long with broad armored bodies, neck spikes, and heavily reinforced skulls. Pinacosaurus became especially important because many juvenile fossils have been discovered together, suggesting young individuals may have traveled in groups. Its skull also contained unusual nostril openings that may have helped regulate temperature or improve smell. Pinacosaurus remains one of the best understood Asian ankylosaurids. Euoplocephalus. Euoplocephalus lived between 76 and 67 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Euoplocephalus tutus, and is one of the best-known ankylosaurids ever discovered. Measuring around 6 meters long, it possessed heavy armor, side spikes, and a massive tail club used for defense. Dozens of fossils have been discovered across Canada and the United States, making Euoplocephalus extremely important for understanding ankylosaur anatomy, armor arrangement, and defensive behavior. Scolosaurus. Scolosaurus lived between 76 and 67 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. Two species are currently recognized, Scolosaurus cutleri and Scolosaurus thronus. Measuring around 5 to 6 meters long, Scolosaurus possessed extensive armor and long shoulder spikes compared to many other ankylosaurids. For many years it was classified within Euoplocephalus before later studies restored it as a separate genus. Some researchers also consider the controversial genus Euoplocephalus to possibly belong within Scolosaurus. Dyoplosaurus. Dyoplosaurus lived between 76 and 74 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Dyoplosaurus acutosquameus. Measuring around 4 to 5 meters long, it is best known for its unusually slender tail club and narrow body proportions. The genus was once synonymized with Euoplocephalus before later research revived its validity. Akainacephalus. Akainacephalus lived between 76 and 74 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Akainacephalus johnsoni. Measuring around 5 meters long, it possessed highly ornamented skull armor covered in bumps and horns, unlike most North American ankylosaurids. Its anatomy showed strong similarities with Asian species, suggesting migration between Asia and North America. Ziapelta. Ziapelta lived between 76 and 74 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Ziapelta minor. It is a debated ankylosaurid, known mainly from fragmentary skeletal material, suggesting a medium-sized armored herbivore, though its exact relationships remain uncertain. Zuul. Zuul lived between 76 and 75 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Zuul crurivastata. Measuring roughly 6 meters long, it possessed rows of spikes and osteoderms covering the body alongside an extremely well-preserved tail club. Zuul became famous because of its exceptional fossil preservation, including armor, skin impressions, and soft tissue details rarely seen in ankylosaurs. Its skull's horn arrangement resembled the fictional monster Zuul from Ghostbusters, inspiring its unusual name. Nodocephalosaurus. Nodocephalosaurus lived between 76 and 72 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Nodocephalosaurus kirtlandensis. Measuring around 4 to 5 meters long, it possessed a uniquely ornamented skull with circular bony patterns unlike most other ankylosaurids, and likely fed on low vegetation within floodplain ecosystems. Ziapelta. Ziapelta lived between 74 and 72 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Ziapelta sanjuanensis. Measuring around 4 to 5 meters long, it possessed heavy armor and sharp spikes around the neck and skull, giving it an especially defensive appearance. Euoplocephalus. Euoplocephalus lived between 74 and 72 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single species, Euoplocephalus horneri. It is considered a highly debated ankylosaurid, often viewed as closely related to or synonymous with Scolosaurus because of limited fossil material. Anodontosaurus. Anodontosaurus lived between 72 and 67 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. Two species are currently recognized, Anodontosaurus lambei and Anodontosaurus inceptus. Both were large ankylosaurids, measuring around 6 meters long with extensive osteoderms and massive tail clubs used for defense. For many years, Anodontosaurus was considered part of Euoplocephalus before later studies separated it based on skull anatomy and tail structure differences. These dinosaurs lived alongside tyrannosaurs, ceratopsians, and hadrosaurs within forested floodplains. Saichania. Saichania lived between 72 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The genus contains a single species, Saichania chulsanensis. Measuring around 6 to 7 meters long, it possessed some of the heaviest armor among Asian ankylosaurids. Its skull contained complex nasal passages that may have helped regulate body temperature in harsh desert climates. Fossils suggest it lived in dune-filled environments alongside velociraptors, oviraptorosaurs, and protoceratopsids. Tarchia. Tarchia lived between 72 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The most widely recognized species today are Tarchia kielani and Tarchia teresi, though some studies have proposed additional debated species such as Tarchia tumanovae. Tarchia was one of the largest Asian ankylosaurids, measuring between roughly 5.5 and 8 meters long. The dinosaur possessed thick armor, a broad reinforced skull, and a massive tail club capable of powerful defensive strikes. Its name means brainy one because early researchers believed it possessed a relatively large brain cavity compared to similar ankylosaurs. Fossils suggest it lived alongside predators such as Tarbosaurus in the deserts of Mongolia. Malevus. Malevus lived between 72 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The genus contains a single species, Malevus disparaceratus, though it is usually considered a synonym of Pinacosaurus because of similarities in skull anatomy and body structure. Many paleontologists no longer consider it valid. Minotaurasaurus. Minotaurasaurus lived between 72 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The genus contains a single species, Minotaurasaurus ramachandrani. Measuring around 5 to 6 meters long, it became famous for its unusually shaped skull covered in horns and bony projections. Some researchers consider Minotaurasaurus a valid genus, while others believe it may represent a species of Tarchia. The debate continues because fossil material remains incomplete. Shangxia. Shangxia lived between 72 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in China. The genus contains a single species, Shangxia tianjinensis. It is considered a debated ankylosaurid, often viewed as closely related to Tyrannosaurus, or possibly the same genus entirely. Zaraapelta. Zaraapelta lived between 72 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in Mongolia. The genus contains a single species, Zaraapelta nomadis. Measuring around 5 meters long, it possessed a highly ornamented skull with complex armor patterns and horn-like structures. Its discovery helped reveal how diverse Asian ankylosaurids became near the end of the Cretaceous. Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus lived between 68 and 66 million years ago during the late Cretaceous in North America. The genus contains a single recognized species, Ankylosaurus magniventris, and remains the largest and most famous ankylosaurid ever discovered. The dinosaur reached lengths of up to 8 meters and may have weighed over 8 tons. It possessed extremely thick armor, a broad, low body, and a massive tail club capable of generating enormous force. Ankylosaurus lived alongside Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, and Edmontosaurus, making it one of the final giant armored dinosaurs before the extinction event 66 million years ago. Several armored dinosaurs were historically linked to Ankylosauridae before later research reclassified them elsewhere. These include Polycanthus and Gastonia, now usually placed within Polycanthidae, along with Acanthophalus, a highly uncertain British armored dinosaur. Early basal ankylosaurians such as Minotaurasaurus and Gargoyleosaurus also helped reveal how true ankylosaurids eventually evolved from more primitive armored ancestors. If you watched the full video and enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe for more dinosaur content and prehistoric documentaries. New episodes covering every dinosaur family, species, and ancient ecosystem are coming soon. Thanks for watching DinoDocs.